Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. Heaven sent it as confirmation. You've been sensing something shifting. You've been walking by faith with no visible backup, no visible resources, and yet you're still standing. Why? Because something was opened for you in the spirit long before it showed up in the natural. Heaven has opened a private account in your name, and the world can't see it, but your soul has already felt it. This word will awaken something ancient inside you and bring divine understanding to the season you're in right now. This isn't about luck, it's about alignment. This account carries your name, your mission, and your next instruction. It's already been credited with everything you'll need to fulfill what God placed in you. And now, heaven is ready to release it, one act of faith at a time. Before we go any deeper, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Because this message isn't just a video, it's spiritual verification. It's a divine alert from heaven, confirming what your spirit has already been sensing. God has opened a private account in your name, and it's time for you to access it by faith. If your soul feels the pull of this message, type 77 in the comments right now. That number is more than digits. It's a prophetic signal. It declares to the Most High that you're aligned, awakened, and ready to withdraw from the supernatural supply heaven reserved for you. Not everyone will make it to the end. Only those truly chosen to receive what's encoded in this message. And if you do stay, you won't just hear words, you'll experience activation. Insight, clarity, and divine provision will begin to flow in your life like never before. This isn't a one-time listen, it's a living word. Each time you return, you'll hear what you couldn't catch before. Because just like heaven's account, this revelation unfolds by layers, and every layer carries breakthrough. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Your earthly resources ran low to reveal your heavenly source. Chosen one, you didn't lose those resources by accident. The doors that wouldn't open, the people who walked away, the plans that fell apart, none of that was a mistake. God was removing your dependence on systems that were never meant to sustain you. You kept trying to make things happen through effort, through connections, through logic. But no matter how hard you tried, it seemed like nothing worked. There's a reason the people you thought would support you didn't show up. There's a reason the job fell through, the deal collapsed, the opportunity passed you by. It wasn't because you weren't capable. It wasn't because you weren't qualified. It was because God was teaching you where your true supply comes from. He let your earthly sources dry up, not to destroy you, but to redirect you. When your backup plans failed, His blueprint was activated. When everything around you started falling apart, everything above you started falling into place. You weren't being punished. You were being positioned. You were leaning too heavily on man-made systems, depending too much on human strategy. And God, in His mercy, pulled you out of the shallow waters and placed you in the flow of His supernatural provision. He wanted you to know the truth, that your help does not come from people, that your income does not come from a paycheck, that your stability doesn't come from an economy. It comes from Him, the one who never runs out, never delays without purpose, and never leaves His chosen without supply. There was a moment, maybe you didn't notice it, when your natural efforts stopped producing. That was the very moment something unseen in heaven was triggered. A spiritual account, one prepared specifically for you, began to release provision in ways you couldn't have orchestrated. This account isn't accessed through hustle, It's opened through key faith. Not by striving, but by surrender. Not by fear, but by trust. When your earthly efforts dried up, your heavenly source stepped in. And from that point forward, everything shifted. Because what fuels you now isn't a system. It's a supernatural stream that doesn't depend on who you know or what you have. You are not under the world's economy. You are under heaven's covenant. And heaven always funds what it assigns. So if you've been wondering why everything had to fall apart, it's because God was setting you up to realize you were never supposed to rely on what's temporary. You were always meant to draw from what's eternal. Chapter 2. God opened it when you chose obedience over opportunity. Chosen one, what looked like loss to others was actually your greatest spiritual transaction. You didn't realize it at the time, but every moment you chose obedience over convenience, alignment over applause, purity over pressure, heaven noticed. The moment you said yes to purpose instead of popularity, the moment you walked away from what was profitable but out of alignment, the moment you stopped chasing clout and started chasing God, that was the moment the account in heaven was triggered. Because heaven does not respond to noise, it responds to obedience. You see, the world teaches you to chase what's visible. Chase what pays the most. Chase what looks good on paper. Chase what gives you status, platform, and power. But the kingdom of God operates differently. In the kingdom, the invisible choice carries the visible reward. The quiet yes in the dark unlocks loud favor in the light. Every time you chose to keep your integrity, even when it cost you position. Every time you said no to something that looked good but didn't feel right. Every time you stayed faithful when you could have compromised for quick success. You were activating a divine release. You didn't know it, but heaven was keeping record. You didn't see it, but spiritual currency was being deposited into your name. And now, because of those moments of unseen obedience, doors are about to open that no man can shut. God opened the vault not because of who you impressed, but because of how you obeyed. He saw your restraint. He saw the inner war. He saw how you chose him even when it made you look foolish. And because of that, he said, "Now I can trust them with supernatural supply." You weren't just choosing holiness, you were choosing access. You weren't just walking in purity, you were walking into inheritance. You weren't just turning down opportunity, you were turning the key to heaven's vault. Obedience isn't glamorous. It won't always get you likes. It won't always be loud, but it will always move God. And when God moves, everything changes. Suddenly, the resources show up. Suddenly, the helpers appear. Suddenly, the weight you carried is lifted and provision flows from places you never expected. This is how heaven operates. You obey, and heaven funds what follows. You align, and favor follows your steps. You say yes when it's hardest, and God says, "Now release what was stored." Chosen one, your obedience triggered something eternal. That vault didn't open when you got it all together. It opened when you surrendered. And now the supply, tied to your assignment, is being released. Quiet obedience opened the loudest blessing of your life. Chapter 3. This account carries what earth can't deliver. Chosen one, the account God has opened for you isn't like anything the world can offer. This isn't a bank account filled with numbers. It's a heavenly vault filled with divine blueprints, resources, and supernatural provisions that no man, no system, and no economy can replicate. It was created with your name on it and built around your purpose, your calling, and your kingdom assignment. This isn't about dollars and cents. It's about destiny and covenant. It's not limited to money. It's layered with everything heaven knew you'd need to fulfill your mission on earth. This account holds things that earth can't manufacture and hell can't steal. Resources. The world says you don't qualify for opportunities your resume could never earn. Relationships. No networking could create divine insight, that no education could give wisdom, timing, and strategy designed specifically for your next season. This account holds not just what was promised, but what was preserved. It carries what you lost in transition, what was delayed in warfare, what was denied by man, and what was stolen by the enemy. But here's the supernatural part. Heaven doesn't just return what was lost. Heaven upgrades it. Heaven doesn't pay you back in the same measure. It gives you pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This is the account where restoration meets multiplication. This is where the favor of God bypasses systems and human rules. This is where you don't have to qualify, because God already called you. This account carries protection that goes ahead of you in rooms you didn't even know were dangerous, favor that makes your name rise in places you've never been, supernatural timing that aligns you with destiny moments, peace that doesn't make sense on paper, divine instruction that leads you out of cycles and into strategies. No earthly bank can release what's stored in this realm. No employer can grant it. No degree can unlock it. No influence can substitute it. Only God can. Only faith can access it. Only obedience can sustain it. So when the world looks at your next level and says, "How did they get that?" just know, you withdrew it from an account they never knew existed. They're watching your elevation, but they don't understand your access, because this account, the one with your name on it, was never meant for earthly validation. It was meant for kingdom manifestation. Chosen one, your life is about to display things money couldn't buy and effort couldn't earn, because heaven has supplied what earth could never deliver. Chapter 4. Only faith can withdraw from it. Chosen one, this spiritual account isn't accessed by your effort, it's accessed by your expectation. It doesn't open through pressure, it opens through posture. And that posture is faith. You don't need a bank card, you need belief. You don't need a PIN number, you need prophetic alignment. Heaven's economy doesn't respond to fear, performance, or hustle. It only moves when you stand in unshakable trust, even when nothing around you makes sense. The account God opened in your name is not for the anxious, it's for the aligned. It's not activated by desperation, it's activated by divine confidence. This account is full. This account is secure. But the only way to draw from it is to walk by faith, not by sight. Every time you trust, instead of panic, you're withdrawing. Every time you choose gratitude over grumbling, you're withdrawing. Every time you take a step forward on nothing but a word from God, heaven releases something that was already yours. That's why your obedience matters. That's why your declarations matter. That's why your stillness matters. Because your faith is the currency that moves the supernatural into your physical reality. When you chose to walk away from that job, that relationship, that comfort zone, and followed what God whispered instead, that was faith. When you gave when you barely had enough, simply because God told you to, that was faith. When you kept building, speaking, creating, and believing without applause or evidence, that was faith. And whether you realized it or not, every one of those moments was a withdrawal from your divine account. You've been making heavenly transactions in silence. And now, visible results are about to show up in your life with no earthly explanation. This is why people look at you and can't figure it out. They ask, how are they still moving forward? How are they paying for that? Where did that help come from? And the truth is, it didn't come from people. It didn't come from a loan. It didn't come from strategy. It came from a realm they don't understand. Because you're not living off the natural, you're living off divine downloads and unseen deposits. You're not being sustained by your job. You're being kept by your faith in God's voice. Your provision isn't limited to what's in your wallet. It's connected to what's stored in heaven. And the more you trust Him, the more He'll show you what's been set aside. The more you move in obedience, the more access you'll gain. The more you believe without seeing, the more you'll experience blessings that cannot be explained, only witnessed. Faith is not just a spiritual idea. It's your kingdom key. It unlocks what no man can deliver. It brings forth what no earthly system can release. It causes your name to rise, your resources to show up, and your steps to align with divine timing. So don't waver, chosen one. Don't wait for everything to look secure. Don't wait for people to validate you. Move by faith, because that's how heaven funds your journey. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You've just been in a season where God has been teaching you how to access what's already yours. And now, because you've trusted Him this long, the account is responding. Get ready. You're about to see with your eyes what your faith has been pulling down the entire time. Chapter 5. Strangers will be assigned to release what's yours. Chosen one, you've entered a season where the help God is sending will not come from your usual circles. It won't come from the people you expected. It won't come from those you've poured into or supported. In fact, many of them will go silent in this next season, and that's on purpose. God is making sure that when your help arrives, you'll know it wasn't man-made. It wasn't your effort. It wasn't your network. It was heaven. There are people whose names you do not know, but they know yours, not because they've met you, but because they've been stirred in the Spirit. Some will feel a sudden urge to pray for someone they've never met. Some will be led to give without knowing the need. Others will be placed in divine positions of power and influence just so they can open a door with your name on it. Someone will mention you in a boardroom you've never stepped foot in. Someone will fund a vision you never even fully shared. Someone will offer you a seat at a table you didn't even ask to join. And none of it will be logical. None of it will be earned by worldly standards. But it will be right. It will be divine. It will be time. God is releasing people who have no reason to help you except for one. They were assigned to bless you, assigned to unlock a part of your journey, assigned to deliver what belongs to you, but was stored until the right season. You don't have to manipulate the moment. You don't have to force your way in. You don't even have to chase the opportunity, because what is assigned to you is already marked by heaven, and the people carrying it can't release it to anyone else. Your name is written in places your feet haven't touched. Your face is recognized in places your voice has never spoken. Your work is remembered by people you didn't even know were watching. And when these strangers show up, it may not look like a miracle, but it will feel like one. Something inside you will know that this connection wasn't coincidence. It was fulfillment. Fulfillment of prayers, fulfillment of obedience, fulfillment of every yes you whispered in the dark when no one saw but God. This is how God moves when He wants the world to know that His fingerprints are on your life. He sends people who owe you nothing to bless you with something. He uses voices that weren't trained to speak for you to advocate on your behalf. He opens doors that were sealed shut for others, and He does it quietly unexpectedly, without warning. This is the season where strangers will sponsor your success. They will make room for you where others tried to block you. They will release provision into your life with no strings attached, because heaven is funding the mission, and they are simply the vessels. And when they show up, when the blessing arrives from an unfamiliar hand, you'll know. You'll know it wasn't by luck or coincidence. You'll know it didn't come from effort or promotion. You'll know this was the release God promised when you stayed faithful, hidden, and humble. So don't worry about how it's going to come. Don't stress about who left. Don't doubt because the numbers don't add up. Your provision is already assigned. Your name is already scheduled. And strangers are already on their way. Not to save you, but to obey God by releasing what was never theirs to keep. This is divine release. This is kingdom funding. This is how heaven moves for the chosen. Chapter 6. This account is sealed. No man can close it. Chosen one of the most powerful truths you must understand about your divine supply is this. It is sealed. Not by man, not by systems, not by circumstance, but by the hand of Almighty God. That means no human decision, no demonic strategy, and no personal mistake has the authority to shut it down. This account was not opened because of your performance. It was opened because of your purpose. Before you were born, before your first cry, before you ever heard the word no, heaven had already written your name into divine records, and connected to your name was an account, not just an account of money, but an account of everything you would need to carry out your divine assignment. It holds provision, it holds protection, it holds people, moments, messages, and movement. It holds recovery for everything you lost. It holds favor for places you haven't entered. And most of all, it holds instructions to navigate a life that was never meant to follow the crowd. This account is not influenced by your credit score. It is not tied to your resume, your education, or your financial status. It is governed by covenant, a holy agreement between you and heaven that was established before the world began. And when God seals something by covenant, it means it is untouchable by natural hands. So when others try to block your blessings, they are wasting energy. When people gossip or turn their back on you, they cannot reach what God has preserved. When spiritual warfare tries to slow you down, it cannot penetrate what has been sealed in the secret place. You may have made mistakes, but the seal still holds. You may have doubted at times, but the seal never shifted. You may have taken detours, but the destination didn't change. Nothing you have done cancels what God already covered. That account was written for your journey, for your tears, for your trials, for the calling you couldn't explain to others. It's not generic, it's not duplicated. It's personal, custom-built for your soul and your assignment. And here's what you must know. God is not waiting for the world to approve you before He releases from that account. The world didn't seal it, so the world can't control it. When it's time for release, not even you will be able to stop it. The timing will be right. The environment will shift. The doors will open. And the evidence of what's been stored will begin to pour into your life without force. You will begin to see favor that doesn't match your surroundings. You will walk through doors others were denied. You will receive blessings people thought should have passed you by, and they won't understand it. But that's okay. It was never theirs to understand. It was never theirs to approve. It was never theirs to unlock. Because what God sealed in your name was never meant to be managed by man. This is why you've been hidden. This is why some opportunities didn't work out. This is why certain people could not walk with you into this next level. Because God is proving something, not just to others, but to you. He is showing you that your destiny is not tied to the crowd. It is tied to your Creator. And if God sealed it, you can rest. If God ordained it, you can stop begging for validation. If heaven authorized it, no human denial can override it. Let this truth anchor you. What is yours cannot be stolen, blocked, buried, or delayed forever. You are not living on borrowed time or borrowed favor. You are walking into what was sealed, saved, and secured, just for you. Chapter 7. This revelation changes everything. Chosen one. This isn't just another chapter. This is a shift in identity. This is the moment when you stop living like you're waiting to be chosen and start walking like you've already been sent. This is the moment when you stop thinking small, praying scared, or settling for crumbs, because now you know the truth. Heaven has backed you, not casually, not temporarily, but fully and eternally. Don't walk like you're spiritually broke. Don't speak like you've been left out. Don't plan like you have to do it all on your own. You were never meant to rely solely on your own strength. You were never expected to make this journey with your own limited resources. God already factored in your lack, your detours, your delays, your losses, and still chose you. Still approved you. Still funded your assignment from a place this world can't see. This account that was opened in your name isn't held in earthly banks or dependent on man's approval. It's held in heaven, sealed by divine authority, and scheduled to release exactly when you need it. From this moment forward, let your decisions reflect what you now understand. Move like someone with backup. Pray like someone with access. Build like someone who knows they're not building alone. Speak like someone who knows their words carry weight in the spirit. Plan like someone whose vision is fully resourced, because it is. This is not the season to shrink. This is not the time to wait for permission. You've already been authorized by heaven. And if heaven has opened a private account in your name, that means you don't have to chase people to support what God has already endorsed. What was once delayed is now on its way. What felt distant is now approaching. What looked impossible is now being assembled in your favor. Your job is no longer to worry. It's to walk. Your role is not to figure it all out. It's to obey, step by step. Because every step of obedience pulls down another portion of what's been stored. Every moment of trust opens another level of what's already yours. Every act of faith brings that sealed account closer to visible manifestation. People around you will begin to notice the change. They'll sense the glow, the peace, the confidence. They may ask what's different about you, and you won't have to explain too much. All you need to say is this: I finally understand who's backing me. No, it's not a corporation. No, it's not a rich investor. No, it's not a sponsor with a name. It's heaven. It's the same hand that opened Red Seas, fed prophets with ravens, and brought manna from the sky. Chosen one, walk tall. This revelation doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you aware. It makes you alert to who you are and what's available to you. It makes you wise enough not to panic when things look empty in the natural, because you know the overflow has already been activated in the spirit. What's ahead of you will require deep faith, but now you know you're not stepping forward empty-handed. You're stepping forward fully backed, fully funded, fully aligned. This is not just motivation. This is transformation, because once you understand that God has already opened a heavenly account in your name, you stop living like a beggar and start moving like a builder. You no longer pray to survive. You start praying to expand. You no longer wait for miracles. You start expecting them to locate you. You no longer question if it's possible. You walk like it's already done. This is the mindset of the chosen. This is the posture of the anointed. This is the path of the called. And now that you know the truth, now that the revelation has been planted deep in your spirit, there is no going back to who you used to be. Because when heaven opens a private account in your name, it changes your direction, your decisions, and your destiny forever.